Hi, my name is Steve Thornton, and this is my plan of study, the artifact analysis presentation for MAE 670 and partial fulfillment of that classroom. This is my graphic organizer. It's a screenshot. It clipped off the bottom of it, but I now have rated each PLO with at least an introductory, developed, and mastered. And in this graphic organizer, I've attached the attachments that go with it. The first class we took, MAE 610 Plan of Study. In this course, participants are presented with the essential experiences and exercises to select the Masters of Arts in Education emphasis course that aligns with the MAE program learning outcomes and evaluate practitioner research paradigms and effective research designs used in education and practitioner researches. I've aligned this with POS 4 and rated it mastered. This class introduced the research participants that would be expected to conduct through the program. My emphasis was identifying effective instructional strategies and practical methods for assessing student engagement. As my progression through the MAE program continued, my research question became more focused. The original question was, what is the relationship between the implementation of differentiated learning strategies and its impact on authentic engagement and improves academic outcomes for secondary English language arts students? That question is now, what is the relationship between integration of inquiry-based learning in secondary student science classrooms to determine if it raises authentic engagement that results in better academic outcomes as measured by the nationally normed California Assessment of Student Performances and Progress, also known as CASP, given in the 7th, 8th, and 11th grades. Additionally, I have also aligned this with PLO 3 and rated it I, introductory. Learning how to use the plan of study graphic organizer has been a challenge and at times confusing, and I still feel like I'm fumbling my way around that one. The next one is 624 reading and content areas in secondary and middle schools. This course focuses on strategies for teaching reading across various subjects such as science, social studies, and math, and developing vocabulary and comprehensive techniques tailored to disciplinary text, adapting reading instruction for diverse leaders, including ELL learners, students with disabilities, and high achievers, and designing assessments and instructional materials that align content area literacy goals. I've aligned this course to PLO 2 and mastered. I've had numerous teaching experiences that deploy instructional strategies intended to increase the reading ability of students. I taught the California High School Exit Exam course for juniors and seniors, primarily made up of English language learners who unfortunately had already failed and were now in danger of not graduating. I used various instructional strategies designed to improve the reading ability of my students, including Linda Mubel and Plato educational software, which I've linked, and identified the learning styles of the students and developed lesson plans that met the diverse learning needs. I was able to exceed the state passing rate by 25%. The next course is PLO, is 625, Exceptional Children in the Classroom, an examination of 4 major types of learners: special ed, multicultural, and English language learners, gifted, talented, and students at risk. This explores how these groups of learners can be best served in general education using effective instructional and behavior management strategies. I've aligned this course to PLO 2, especially targeting the PL2 component on the design learning experiences that include learner characteristics, principles of customized learning, and assessment as learning, because teachers must vary the instructional practices to effectively differentiate student learning activities and provide levels of support. I have rated this as mastered. I used, as developed. as evidenced in formative feedback that I gave to beginning teachers and reviewing student academic outcomes to better inform areas of strength and areas of growth in instructional practice. I also conducted many observations and provided feedback for teacher mentors with a focus on diverse learning needs in the classroom. My team and I worked towards embedding the ELLD roadmap. This included encouraging students to use their home language in assignments, discussions, or family interviews, displaying multilingual signage, books, and resources throughout the room, and incorporating culturally relevant texts and examples into the curriculum that reflected students' backgrounds, and celebrating cultural heritage events and involving students and families in the designing the environment. Additionally, I have aligned this with PLO 1 and rated it introductory. My team and I developed a professional learning seminar on collaborative partnerships for SPED teachers and general education teachers. This seminar presented strategies for working together, collaborative lesson plans, modifications and accommodations needed for special needs students, and response to intervention for all students. Teacher support mentors then followed up with co-teaching assignments to better support teachers through observations, formative feedback, and one-on-one instructional coaching decisions and discussions. Teachers reviewed student academic outcomes and adjusted lesson plans that incorporated multiple teaching strategies to meet the diverse learning needs of their students. Additionally, I've aligned this PLO 4 rated D. I've directed the Madeira Induction Consortium for the past 15 years and wrote the materials used in response to the induction program standard as directed by the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. These documents guide the beginning teacher through a series of projects that require teacher reflection, research, implementation, adjustments, and then back to research. They guide the teacher to consider the best practices and are research-based that meet the diverting learning needs of their students. I've hyperlinked all of that in the paper as well as the PowerPoint. The next one is 625 Instructional Strategies for Middle and Secondary Schools. This class explores a variety of research-based instructional strategies appropriate for secondary educational settings. I've aligned this course to PLO 3 and rated it as M Mastered. Past experience includes the use of a wide range of instructional strategies which promote authentic engagement. This includes cooperative learning and collaborative structures, use of instructional technology, engaging students to set their own learning goals, and deploying a range of assessment strategies to monitor student academic progress. This includes being trained in Kagan cooperative learning strategies. My team and I led professional development on Kagan strategies and provided resources to beginning teachers. We also provided coaching on this and provided formative feedback to our beginning teachers. Next is 625A, Curriculum and Procedures for Secondary and Middle School. I wrote that classroom management is a hallmark of great instructional practices and critical for any educator. I have rated this as master. When I was a classroom teacher, it took 5 years to really know how to manage a class. And I figured out real quick that it started with making great classroom relationships, getting to know my students, establishing boundaries, using humor, being compassionate, establishing routines, and having and holding students to high expectations. Then I became an administrator directing the induction program for a county. Part of my duties was leading professional development for beginning teachers. I trained my beginning teachers with Tools for Teaching by Fred Jones, which I've hyperlinked. And I've included a video of me leading that professional development. Here we discuss the differences between rules and procedures. I've also aligned this with PLO 1 and rated it as D developed. Teacher Support Mentor Team and I developed a 6-session professional development seminar on technology in the classroom for beginning teachers. Sessions included Google Suite, including how to use Google Classroom and its integration into Aries, along with Google Docs and Google Drive. We also had a seminar on EduAid, an AI software package used to create lesson plans. And we finished off with technology apps for student learning, including Nearpod, Pear Deck, and Edpuzzle. Next is CLD 615, Educational Foundations, a study of American mosaic. This course examines the historical, cultural, and theoretical foundations of American education with an emphasis on diversity, equity, and the evolving mosaic of societal groups that influence education and practice and real policy. I aligned this course with PLL 4 and rated as mastered. In addition to this course, I have successfully completed the National Institute for Schools and System Leadership, NISL, provided by the National Center on Education and the Economy. NISL equips their leaders to drive meaningful and sustainable change. And so I included their website, and on the document that I turned in, the certificate of completion. The next course is CLD 605, the diverse classroom. This classroom explores the typologies and characteristics of English learners, grounded knowledge of learners and their families and school contexts. Research is focused on inclusion and equity practices for English learners, and I have rated this as D, developed. The Central Valley of California has a high population of EL learners. Their needs and instructional strategies are paramount to ensuring all students have equitable access to the curriculum. In response to Principle 2 of the California ELD Roadmap, my team provided engaging and age-appropriate learning experiences that help English learners grow their English skills while developing content knowledge. We make sure lessons combine language development, literacy, and subject learning using strategies like native language support and scaffolding to help students fully understand and participate. We also ensured that EL learners had access to a meaningful, standard-based curriculum and chances to develop their skills in both English and other languages. The next class is CLD 611, Psychology Applied to a Diverse Community of Students. This course applies psychological principles such as motivation, development, behavior, and cognition to teaching strategies designed for culturally and linguistic diverse student populations. I aligned this course with POS 2 and rated it as M, mastered. This artifact is an accommodation I created for a 9th grade student with autism spectrum disorder. The student showed a strong aptitude for oral language, but struggled with the physical aspect of writing. He could dictate his thoughts, but became overly frustrated with writing due to an obsessive compulsive need to be perfect. He struggled with his handwriting, and thus writing became a barrier to completing his work. I paired him with another student that was struggling to comprehend the curriculum. My ASD student tutored the other student while also being the recorder for the pair. Both names were written on one assignment, and each turned their assignment in together and got a grade. They took separate assessments and both ended the course with a B. Both students had their learning needs met without lowering the learning standards and were able to show mastery of the standards. I've also aligned this with PLO2 and rated it I, introductory. My team and I worked with beginning teachers to create a student-centered classroom. Teachers often create learning environments that reflect themselves. They look beautiful and mimic what is seen on Pinterest. Yet, after attending professional development on the California Roadmap, we realized teachers need to take into account the interest, culture, and language of the students. Through mentoring meetings, we discussed and planned with beginning teachers on best practices that would transform the learning environment that was student-centered into something that was student-centered. Teachers began using bilingual posters, displaying posters that reflected student interest and included more student work placed on bulletin boards. The next class is ITI 690, Inspired Teaching Inquiry. This covers current theories and applications of evidence-based inspired teaching practices in PK-12 education and includes developing a repertoire of technology-enhanced curricular tools. Candidates explore the process and application of action research, resulting in the development of framing an institutional practice-based research topic and question through writing a literature review. I aligned this course POS 3 and rated it D, developing. I've completed a literary review of authentic engagement and how to measure it. I've discovered that there is a plethora of definitions regarding engagement, and there is also little consensus on how to measure it. My research proposes a simple definition of engagement and easily accessible tools for teachers to employ to determine if their students are engaged. Additionally, I've aligned this with PLL4 and rated it introductory. In my professional practice, my team and I consistently discuss the need to increase student engagement but discovered developing simple to use assessment tools is difficult. The same tools also proved to be problematic due to resistance on the teacher's part to use them, reflect on the data, and make instructional adjustments. I'd like to continue to explore and develop assessment tools that focus on student engagement. Last, MAE 670, Applied Practitioner Research and Customized Study. This course presents participants with experiences and exercises to develop a practitioner research proposal based on a relational practitioner research question, to produce a reflective uh, presentation that evaluates plan of study, digital portfolio artifacts, alignments to MAE program learning outcomes. I've aligned this course with POS 3 and rated it D developed. Practitioner research proposal researched and developed in this class enabled me to create a possible research project that examines inquiry-based learning and the effect of implementation on authentic student engagement, resulting in improved academic performance as measured by the CAS. I want to thank you again for your time, and especially for allowing me to revisit this and edit it and make sure that it meets the standard. Thank you again.